Hi, Grace. It's Pastor Megan here.
And Brittany, I'm the council liaison for the social media and tech team at Grace.
We wanted to start a conversation with all of you about the tech upgrades that our council unanimously approved to recommend to you. At our congregational meeting on Sunday, May 16th, that's this Sunday at 4 p.m. on Zoom, one of the items on the agenda is the approval of tech upgrades in our sanctuary. These upgrades are meant to help live stream worship. So we wanted to talk with you more about how council came to this decision, that this was a move that Grace needed to make. And what we know is that this past year has changed us, and it's changed the way we worship. For the last year, screens and technology have been a point of connection for us in a time when we haven't been able to gather in person. And so, because of this last year, our leadership at Grace began to wonder, how will we incorporate technology and how will we incorporate what we learned this year into our worship when we return to the sanctuary?
So we know that when Grace moves back to the sanctuary, we'll have members who aren't ready to be inside with a group. We also know that we have older members for whom coming to worship inside, even without the pandemic, is difficult. They've been able to worship with us throughout the pandemic because we've made it available online, and we want them to continue to worship with us from home. In addition, we've had families who are usually gone for sports and other commitments on the weekends who've been able to catch our worship services at a time that works for them.
And so we began to talk about live streaming our worship services so that people could continue to participate if they couldn't physically be at worship. But then something really neat happened on Easter Sunday. Okay, we've talked about this before, that on Easter Sunday, we had 46 guests come to our outdoor worship services. And I'm always curious how guests find us. And when we asked them, several shared that they had already worshiped with us online and they enjoyed it so much that they wanted to try worshiping with us in person. And so we began to realize how important live streaming our worship will be for our outreach as we move forward at Grace.
As part of this conversation, our council created a new social media and tech team to help us sort through how to live stream, and we really want to do it well. In addition to overseeing our live stream worship, our team will be working with our new pastor to develop a strategy for Grace's online presence through our website and social media. We know that online is our new front door, and our team will be important to helping Grace be as welcoming online as we are in person.
And so, as we started this process of exploring what live streaming would look like, a funny thing happened when we began to solicit quotes for updating our worship space. We were told that we couldn't even get someone to come out to assess our space and what we need for a couple of months because so many other churches were wanting to live stream. And so, while Grace has talked about some of these things in the past, we are in a place where we need to be able to do this in order to be current with how churches are changing, especially after the pandemic.
One of the additions we've discussed is adding a screen to our sanctuary. This is not to make our worship that cheesy projector church, but because we've learned so much about screens this year, we've been able to include sermons from our bishop and our synod staff. We've been able to add videos of important events in the life of our church to worship that we would not have if we didn't have a screen to use when we needed it. Our bishop has shared that he and his staff are talking about continuing to offer sermons even after the pandemic for churches to use for important Sundays or when our pastor is sick. We also know from this year that there's a way to use art and pictures and worship to enrich our liturgy and our gospel stories. We're such a visual culture. We take in information visually, and yet most of our worship is oral and auditory. So our commitments for the screen as the tech team is we want something that will increase our connection. that will be unobtrusive and will not take away from the beauty of the sanctuary. We understand the screen to be a tool to have and use when we need it. We'll learn more about how to use the screen together as we grow into what feels good and right about Grace.
So, the upgrades we need to make to live stream well include more than just a camera and microphones. They also include updates to our lighting. We have so much natural light in our sanctuary, and it can make it hard on a camera to see people's facial expressions. And so, we know that lighting is going to be important for our worshipers online. The upgrades also include computer monitors and, of course, the screen. It's important to us that the people who are worshiping online feel like they are a part of our worship and not that they're just watching something happen. And so we are also adding an ambient microphone that picks up the singing and the responses of our congregation so that our online worshipers can hear more than just the pastor and the lectors talking.
We're in the process of sorting through multiple quotes. To give you an idea of what this will cost, our first quote was around $21,000. The congregation will be asked to approve a tech upgrade budget that will not exceed $22,000.
As I've listened to our council talk about this decision to recommend this to all of you, what they have said repeatedly is that this money is an investment in Grace's future. It's a way for us to remain connected with each other and a way for us to invite others into our community. We also know that Grace is in a solid financial position. We have received more offerings than expected for the last 2 months, 11,000 more than budgeted for in March, and about 6,000 more than budgeted for in April. In addition to this, our expenses have also been low. Adam is our church treasurer, and he's going to share more about our finances at the next congregational meeting.
So we're all learning together about how to live into the future, and we know that technology is a part of our future, and we're looking forward to growing in this area as a church together.
And so, Grace, this feels like the next adventure for all of you. And it feels like the right next step that incorporates everything we've learned from this year into the next season of your life together. And so I look forward to hearing how this congregational meeting goes. And you all are in my prayers as you discern these next steps in your life together.